What's up, y'all? This is Tea Time with Tara. I am your host, Tara M. Williams. And today we have a guest, my friend, Danny Jr. Danny is an upward mobility designer. If you didn't get that, I said upward mobility designer with a mission to impact the willing to live a life of meaning by being and doing something worth being remembered for. Okay, y'all, that's a whole icebreaker in itself. But we'll get to it with Danny. Now, Danny did something fun for y'all. Danny chose a word that he needed to take along on his journey to stalk his destiny. And then he decided to change it last minute, y'all. And so because he loved all the words, we're going to go over all of the words, but I will be sharing with you the 2 words that he did want to focus in on today, as well as going over the other words. So let's welcome Danny to the show. What's up?
Nothing much. I'm
Nice
ready
to-
for this challenge. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Nice to have you.
Yes.
So you said for your word to stalk your destiny, or first of all, let's go back. Let's tell everybody, what is an upward mobility? What's the other word?
Designer.
Designer. My
Yes,
bad.
absolutely.
What is an upward mobility designer?
So, an upward mobility designer is really someone who looks at somebody's life, right? Every single one of us are in a particular phase in our life, no matter what age. And so one of the things I like to do is have a conversation with someone and determine, based on where they are right now, where do they want to be? Like, help them to go from where they are to where they want to be. So helping them to really design their way to project themselves to the level they're trying to get to based on what they currently are. So an upward mobility designer.
Okay, I like the wordplay. So you basically help people stalk their destiny.
Basically.
Design the life you want to live.
Exactly.
You
Just
know, and go for it.
Yeah, new title for it,
Ah, okay. We're on the same page. Wonderful.
There we go.
Okay, so how long have you been doing that, and how's that going for you?
Man, great story, great thing. So, I mean, that'll definitely be a part of this conversation because I think that part of me was always in me growing up, but I think that where that journey began probably started in, I would say, 2011.
Okay.
2011. And obviously it has its ebbs and flows, bumps in the road. And I think I would say this year is probably the year that I take that significant leap.
Okay.
Yeah, more specifically, so in 2011 was the year that I made a decision to basically leave my job, right?
Okay.
So I was working in the IT field for the Federal Reserve Bank, and the IT department, they were getting rid of their IT department and centralize it to like one location.
Okay.
So they wanted me to stay. Hey, listen, we have some job opportunities for you. This is great. But at the time, like, I was listening to people like Tony Robbins and Les Brown and all these motivational speakers who were talking about stalking your destiny and being successful and at that time, I was like, you know what, that's something I want to do. I don't want to work for anybody anymore. So literally, like in 2011, on my birthday, I literally walked out of my job not knowing exactly what I wanted to do at all. Cold turkey, not knowing what I wanted to do. So I would say that's where kind of this journey began for me, I would say.
And so, guys, this is the ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny. And kind of what Danny just explained is that everything you want to become, you already are. Like you said, it was already on the inside of you.
Yep.
And so, also, guys, I'm going to have the ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny in the comments or description below. And so when you see that, and you're hearing this with us, chime in and let us know what ABC to Stalk Your Destiny word do you need along the way for your journey. Okay? So then let's get to this journey, because you started there and it's been ups and downs since then.
Absolutely.
That's what, 12 years ago now?
Yeah.
Or almost 12? When is your birthday?
A long time. July 29th. Yes, walked out. Yep, walked out July 29th. Just turned 28 years old at the time.
Okay.
And I'm like, what did I just do?
Right. So how did, go into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
You can go into it.
All right. So like,
and you can go through the book too as you go along the way. You can go down the list.
Okay.
Because that's what I was gonna make you do. I was
Okay.
gonna challenge you, like, okay, tell us your story going down the list.
Okay.
Of the ABCs. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'll get into it. So I left out, didn't know what I wanted to do, right? All they gave me some severance pay, like $7,000. Like, they're probably take me a few months. And what's crazy is that I think when you really have an idea for something, like I think just God makes a way to put those things in front of you.
Absolutely.
So literally
Because
the
he
next,
places the idea in you.
yes,
Okay.
literally the
Yeah.
next month, talking to this guy, I think we were already friends before. Talk with him. He's like, hey man, there's this company that you can, I think would be cool for us to both like start selling in. And so I talked with him. He got me in connection with some other guys, and
Mm-hmm.
literally a month and a half later, I'm in this network marketing company selling coffee.
Oh
Like a month,
wow. Oh
yes,
yeah. I
selling
remember that
coffee.
coffee
Yeah,
stuff. Okay.
yeah, selling this healthy coffee,
Yeah, a
right?
lot of people
So,
sold that.
yep, I remember. Yeah, so I was, so this is the first time I ever like heard about this industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all excited, and and I'm just really passionate about it, just because obviously my whole life, I went to school to, in IT, and got my degree, and the pathway was always to go to school, get a good
Yeah.
education, and I did that, thankfully. And now there's this company who's like, hey, we're gonna, in those companies they pitch you, hey, you can make, six figures. And to me at the time, six figures was like, it was like this huge amount of money that
Yeah.
like I never thought was even possible for me. So that enticed me to go ahead and get started. So I signed
Yeah.
up at the highest level, and then everything crashed.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened from that point was, so I get in this company, and now, so in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, if I want to be successful, I got to look successful, right? So I end up, like literally a month later, I end up buying a Corvette.
Okay.
I was like, hey, you know what? I got to look successful. I talked to my brother.
Oh,
He's like,
okay.
yeah, I want to look successful, right? I can't go out here selling people on how they can be successful, and this coffee is
Yeah.
great. And then, I'm not looking up to par.
And I'm pushing a
And I'm
Toyota.
pushing a Toyota, so I buy a Corvette. I talk to my brother. He has suits. I have no suits, so I get his suits. Doesn't really fit, right? But
But it's a suit.
but it's a suit. Put that on, and I start driving all around St. Louis, trying to get people involved into this. I mean, I went to schools.
Oh
I mean, if
wow.
somebody is like walking down the street, I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving them a flyer. I'm giving them my number, and none of it worked.
Yeah.
None of it worked. Um, I did a few. Meetings where I would be the presenter, and I love that because I love speaking. But again, none of it worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at that point, I'm just defeated. Hey, I'm not. Maybe I'm not as good as I wanted to, and so I end up saying, you know what? Maybe what I need to do is tie selling this selling this product that this company is offering along with kind of my own products.
Okay.
So in 2012, I start my company called Upmo. At the time, it still is, I guess, technically registered as Upmo Business Online, right?
Okay.
So then I started getting excited. So I started creating a few ebooks, starting little campaigns, and that's when I thought things would work, and still things hit
So
the fan.
how I'm just going down this
Yeah,
list.
let's go on this list. Yes.
How did accountability come into play?
Accountability. I think if we were just to cut up that story, because I think a lot of accountability came later,
Mm-hmm.
based on the results, which is if you don't make money, there's bills that need to be paid. So you
Yeah.
so you have to be accountable to your family. So I would say like at that particular time, I think I was accountable for really God's calling in my life to make that shift at the time,
To be
to
available.
be available
Mm-hmm.
to really make an impact and to develop the skills, and that's one of them, I think,
Okay.
in the list that you have there. Uh,
Skills? No, skills is
it's not
not.
in there. It ain't
No,
in
it is
there. It
not.
ain't in there.
No, but I do want to say something regarding that, just for the audience. So, in terms of being accountable to God and taking
Hmm.
a leap of faith, some say you have to be moving in order for God to move you. And so
Hmm.
that comes into play with the faith without works is dead. And
Hmm.
he wasn't just accountable to his idea, which he said the idea came from God, to leave your job, do something different. Sometimes we don't interpret all the way because God spoon feeds us. So sometimes we don't know which way we're supposed to go. But that accountability to God will allow us to still be moving and constantly going forward towards our destiny, towards the end. And so it's very important when stalking your destiny that accountability is your tool for you to develop and to keep going in terms of becoming who God has called you to be. So, what about balance?
Balance. Wow. Wow. So, as you can imagine, there's a balance between now I'm in this newfound, let's call it an opportunity that I never got exposed to because it required a lot of sales.
Okay.
So, I'm dealing with this new role on the top of me having a family, right? So,
Okay.
I have a wife and kids. And, while I'm experiencing this new, potential role that is creating a lot of stress because it's a new area for me. I also have to balance that between, the wife and the
The house, yeah.
kids needing things. And so there was really a challenge there, having to juggle the two, right? Kind of being stressed out going into this newfound role of selling, and then at the same time, still put on a happy face and being present for my
Yeah.
family. So that the balance was definitely something I had to make sure I
So,
maintained.
so being present in your purpose in the world and being present in your purpose at
At
home.
home,
Yeah.
correct,
Okay.
absolutely. So I definitely had to do it was definitely a balance there, especially on the emotional front, right? Huge.
Tell us about that part
Um,
about balancing on the emotional front. Because is it because you were carrying the stresses of both weights, or how did you balance that?
how did I balance it? I didn't. I didn't. It was a
Oh,
struggle. No,
okay.
absolutely. At that time, gained a lot of weight. Man, I swear I had to put on 20, 30 pounds at the time because, just imagine going out there and talking to 10, 20, 30 people, putting flyers on people's windshields. And, you go home and you just got your phone sitting there on the table, just expecting all these calls, and literally no one gives you a call,
So
right?
kind of like we'll say the movie, but the real life story though of the Pursuit of Happiness. Chris Garner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, yeah, just doing that and then having to come home. So I think the thing that probably helped me out a lot, I think, is was definitely having that alone time to myself and being able to really, man, just to like stay in that quiet place where there's like no noise, no, human beings, right? So you can, people call it like maybe a prayer closet, and you just sit there and, just meditate and think about like what's your next, what should you do? And so that helped me
Next.
balance it. Absolutely.
So you took a chance.
I did.
We talked about that part. You did take a chance,
Hmm.
but then you found a quiet space to hear, be clear in your heart, mind, and soul,
Hmm.
and to hear from God what direction you
Hmm.
should go in.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what did you do next after that? On like I'm trying to go along this journey, but I'm
Yeah.
also trying to drive the car. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Okay.
So and after you go into that room, because for those of you who don't know, when you have that quiet time with self, with God, with meditating, with prayer, I don't know about you all, but hopefully this is for you as well as you, that God downloads a lot in that quiet time to you, and especially business strategies,
Hmm.
and so how did you get up from that place and then go out into the world and be effective?
Uh, so I would say that time helped me to get up the next day and try again, right? Because I believe that this was something I should have done, and so there wasn't a doubt in my mind that this was something I was supposed to pursue. What's amazing though is that sometimes we don't know what God is trying to do until we look backwards, and so at that time that this happened, I had no idea like what was transpiring. And I think, really looking back at it, I know exactly what he was doing. So, and I'll explain it now. So I end up getting to a point to where the money was running out, right? Had to sell a Corvette, had to say, listen, ain't enough money coming in. I'm not doing a good job here. So I had to go back and find a job to work at. So literally, like no exaggeration, like no puffing, like literally I had $2,000 left in a Chase credit card, cash advance left, and that's all I had to pay any bills. And so once I sold the car, and still thought I can do it, ran out of that money, had $2,000, 2,000 in a Chase advance. I had to go find a job, so I ended up applying for the company that I work for now, and literally got the job the next, like literally the next month. and saved saved myself from tons of financial ruin.
Okay.
So what's interesting though, because I'm gonna finish answer your question, is the role I'm in now is in sales.
So it wasn't that you were in the wrong industry,
It
or
it wasn't that I was in the wrong industry. Is that in order for me to do what I was needing to do, I number one had to get experience with learning how to hear the word no and continue to press forward despite that answer. And so that experience
you
that
can tell them that right there.
yeah,
Oh, say that
we'll say
again.
that again. I can't say as good as I said it to you, but
You
I'll
just,
look in the
I'll
camera.
just say it.
Listen, when I in that role, when I was in, God was basically teaching me that I had to hear the word no and still press forward despite hearing that answer, and that's exactly what I had to hear. And so then and then also he wanted me to be in a more formalized sales role because
Hmm.
at the time, right, it's just me just trying to there was no structure, there was
Yeah.
no technology. It was just
No
me going, no
focus.
focus, no focus at
It's the next
all.
word.
Where now I'm selling for a company that's renowned, it's known. So the sales process was a little bit easier. They had structure, they
Hmm.
had certain processes in place. So it taught me how to really sell efficiently. And
Okay.
so that's I think
And
that was the beauty of it,
effectively.
and effectively,
Yeah.
and that was the beauty of it. So now, where I am now at this point, we definitely are speeding in this story, but I think now this year I'm gonna eventually, make that transition full time. And the beauty of that is that the skills that I've learned through this journey now gives me the ability to have more of a successful outcome than I had when I first started back in
So
2011.
you had to go back and basically you jumped out into the water,
I did.
and then you had to go back and learn how to master the deep.
I did. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. And now your goals, because now we're at goals,
Mm-hmm.
and so now your goals are to do it again.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Absolutely. And I always had goals. Like even, from the jump, I always had goals. Like that's not something that I didn't set for myself. Like I had goals. Like my goal in 2011, of course, is hey, I was gonna become a
Hmm.
six-figure earner, right?
Right.
I had certain metrics. Hey, I at least want one person to give me a call every single day about the opportunity. Um, I had family goals, always had goals, but what I didn't have is the execution to
Strategy.
or strategy
Okay.
to see it to fruition. Because what I didn't tell you is that I didn't go out there every single time. Like I really didn't. It was
Oh.
weeks that I would hear a few no's and I would be in the house for the rest of the week depressed.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
wasn't. I was hustling, but I wasn't grinding, getting a result, changing my approach, continue.
Defeated.
I was defeated, absolutely. So, I really couldn't say the time I was out there every single day. I grinded. I would say that I would go out a few times, hustle really hard, no results, stay in for 4 days, go back out, try it
Hmm.
again, then stay
Yeah.
back in.
And that's something that so you mentioned some of the motivational speakers. Well,
Hmm.
I follow the number one motivational speaker in the world, Eric
Oh, that's my
Thomas.
guy, ET.
Yeah, E.T. the hip hop
That's my
preacher.
guy. Yeah.
And so,
Hmm.
one of his videos that I watch all the time, he talks about, if you're giving 70%, like you won't get there.
Hmm.
You're gonna stay at 70. You're giving 70, that's all you're gonna get.
Hmm.
And so that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you got what you were giving in
Hmm.
that. And don't get me wrong, it's not always that you get what you're giving. That's not what E.T. was trying to say. He was just saying if you're at 70%, increase it.
Hmm.
Increase it, increase it, increase it. Even if you're at 100% and you want to be phenomenal, then you want to go 120%.
Hmm.
And even if your days, because we're going to get to habits next, which is one of your words, and even if your days are different, how are you maximizing that time, you all? And even, with where you are now, if your days are different, looking back at the times that you felt defeated and you just kind of gave into depression, how would you have changed your habits, even then, to maximize on the time where you were in the house and recovering from that hurt,
Hmm.
but also setting yourself up for success later?
Yeah, I think at the time, I don't necessarily think that I built any habits to help me deal with the reality of the fact that not everyone wants what you have.
Okay.
So I think going back, if I had to do it all over again, I think I probably would have um, probably listen to some of those motivational speakers at the moment, because when someone told me no and I went back home, I didn't listen to any of those guys. Went in my room and just,
Yeah.
and did nothing, right? Or distract myself with mindless entertainment
Mm-hmm.
to decompress or remove the realities, which is, you're not bringing any money into this house. And therefore, like after a while, all the money you did save up is literally going to be depleted.
Yeah.
But I think that, reason why I even mentioned the word habit to you, because that was one of my words, is I think that every single one of us wants to achieve something. And so it's so easy to put it on the whiteboard. A lot of times we create vision boards, and it gets us really
Yeah.
excited on the front end.
For the time.
We get super excited. We're cutting out magazines of our favorite cars, like having
Yeah.
$100 bills, and we pasting it on there. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure how they do it now. I'm not sure if you still like put the glue on there
There's
and just
still people are still doing
they're
that.
still doing
Yeah.
that. Okay, so and then you put it up on your wall. But it's one thing to like build the habits to see that come to fruition, whatever that goal is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think for me, I want to talk about habits because I think what allowed me to even be successful at this point, whatever that means, is that I think I built the habits that allow me to get the results. And I think that's so important that we can have the vision, the idea, like we want to be successful, like we can see it, we can taste it. We, have
Yeah.
this, we affirm it every single day, but there's some actions that need to be taken, that needs to take place in order to see that those goals and visions come to fruition.
And that's all real too. And I think that maybe I had an advantage that if I was in your position, I had an advantage that would have helped me at that time. Because I did do marketing, but I was good at it. I was the number one seller in St. Louis for the company that I was working
Where
with.
were you at? Where were you at the time? I went. You went
Well,
there when I needed you.
when when you needed me, I was in a marriage having babies.
Oh, okay.
So I was not working out here doing
Okay.
that.
All
I was
right.
building
All
the
right. You get a pass.
Yes, I was building the business God gave me. Okay, in the house,
Alright.
building the business,
All right.
and also, you know what? Too, I was also at the time facing defeat every day in my marriage. That's what I was doing. I was facing defeat every day in my marriage. But again, I was equipped for the no's. I was equipped. It's so weird to say it now. I was equipped for that defeat, and then that defeat made me stronger. I knew what to do with it, and I knew what to do with myself in the time. But I say that I had an advantage because not coming out of high school, but maybe returning back to St. Louis, I believe, from college, maybe. I had a marketing job. And there, it was just marketing 101, because even in college, I think they teach you this as well in marketing 101, that you expect the no's. And so I was going out every day, hey, how you doing? Talking to everybody, because my goal was to get 99 no's a day. That was my goal. And so when you go forward looking for that, like I'm going to speak to every person because I know it's a no, and I'm counting these no's because it's going to be one yes. And that is how I became the highest seller. Because I literally sought out the no's and I counted it, and I'm like, I got 3 to 6 hours to make this goal. This is what I want to make every day. And they gave us the tools. The team that I worked for was a very good training team. It was a bad company.
But a good training team.
They're not open now.
Right, okay.
They got shut down.
Okay.
But that mindset of, when you're selling anything, I got books. I have books for days. I have planners. I have all these different things. But I don't seek to sell any of it. I seek to change lives. The only people that will take this item is the person that wants a life change, And so I look forward to that. I don't offer it to just everybody. Oh, hey, buy my book because it's a book and that's a number and that counts. That's not the case. You want to change your life? This is a tool that'll help you. Change it. Oh, no? Great. Wonderful. You want a tool to change your life? This will help you. So it's really a psychological change, I would say. I forgot the word for it. It's reverse psychology. Basically, it's reverse psychology. And so defeat where it hurt you would have made me more excited. So where it shut you down, I would have been like, yes, I got 56 no's yesterday. I'm about to get, the rest of these
almost like
today.
the results, because almost like the results are really none of your business, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
it's the answer. Them telling you no is really their problem, not yours. So
Yeah.
it's like, So it's almost like being decoupled, not associating the no with you as a person made it easier to get those 99 no's because you never took it really personally. It was
Yeah, they
almost
weren't. I wasn't offering myself. They weren't saying no to me.
right.
Just like with the product that you had, everyone's not a coffee drinker.
Absolutely.
And so if we understand that it's not personal to us, so maybe I'm saying this, you're saying this, for the audience listening, is that it's not always personal to you, the person. Sometimes it's what you're offering is just not a fit for the person that you're speaking to,
Absolutely.
or for where you are, or whomever is on that journey.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so important. Like that's like that right there is so important because I think that a lot of times, from my experience, what I've seen when talking with people is that they associate their business, what they want to do, they correlate it with their identity from the perspective that if the business fails, that means that they're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
If someone tells them no, that means something is wrong with them, right? Where the
Mm-hmm.
truth is that we're solving a problem whether it's a ministry, if it's a 501c, if it's a LLC, S corp, sole proprietorship. At the end of the day, it's a problem we're solving for someone else.
Yeah.
And if they want what we're selling or not, is not has anything to do with us. It's basically them deciding if it's
For
something
themselves,
for
yeah.
themselves. So it removes this fear of failure when we look at it like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned identity, which is the next word too on the ABCs to stalk your destiny.
Hey.
Along the way to your journey, because that's after the I. So
Mm-hmm.
we had habits, identity, and journey. And even in that too, when you go out here to stalk your destiny, I think you just made a valid point that not only do you have to know who you are, but you have to understand that the customer needs to know who they are as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or the
Ooh.
potential clients
Yes.
need to know who they are as well, because it's a role played between two people,
Mm-hmm.
for a sale to be a transaction.
Exactly.
It's played between two people. And so
Mm-hmm.
identity is very big. And even with Stalk Your Destiny, since that's what we're talking about, and with Upmo, y'all, okay? In order for either of us to help people, clients, whatever you want to call them, help others. In order for you and I to help others, they need to know their identity, their direction, and their accountability, right?
Yep.
So when I was married and you was dealing with all this stuff, I was asking God, who am I? Where am I? Where am I going to go? And what does it take to get there? That's what I was doing. He was building my identity because it was lost in the marriage. And due to childhood trauma, they all intertwined at the same time.
Yep.
And so how important was it for you during this time that you're building and all this on your journey, to develop a habit of knowing who you are?
Huge. So most mornings, when I get up in the morning, there's this incantation I do. I won't do it for the artists because I will scare you guys. But basically, what I say in this incantation is
What is an incantation?
incantation is basically something that you say with pure like intensity, so that it basically gets associated with in your belief system. So not just like an affirmation to say, hey, you know what, I'm doing great today. This is an awesome day. I'm powerful. It's like it's me literally getting up, doing what I call a power move, a specific move that I do every time I say this. That anytime that I act that move, I don't even have to say the words. That incantation that I say, it gets fed into my mind, and I execute immediately. It puts me into this peak state. So, like I said, I'm in sales now, so I have to do that because again, I'm still hearing no's, but it's not a big deal anymore. So, what I did is I, got this incantation that says, I'm an outgoing, energetic, enthusiastic leader, entrepreneur, performance strategist, and upward mobility designer who will do whatever it takes, no matter how outrageous, to impact the lives of others. I stand out when other people are afraid to. I take action despite the difficulty. I smile in the midst of the storm because I was born to lead. And so I say that multiple times with full enthusiasm. Oh
and
yeah,
you do a
if I did it right now, y'all be like,
It's-
they're like, somebody call the police, please. What is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Need to go in the insane asylum. But when I do it, I have so much intensity. I have it what I call a power mini as well. So like at any none of us are every single day or always in our peak state, right? I mean, we can maybe not eating right, but unfortunately, fortunately, we have to still perform, right? Our impact in the world never sleeps. We always have to be at our peak state. So, and I didn't want to do this crazy move like in front of people. So what I did
It's
was,
okay. You
well, in front of
share.
y'all, right? In front of y'all, maybe, but not like
Yeah.
when I'm in my element, right? So
Right.
I have a little small one that I do. Boop.
Yeah.
And then now I'm back in peak state. So that's so important for me and my identity. Even be saying it now, like you see my voice is,
Everything
yeah,
changed.
everything changed. Just me doing that because I've done it for so often that it keeps me in this peak state. So
Yeah.
to me, that's very important
And
to my
that's kind of
identity.
what you explained too in terms of people. It's fine to create a vision board, but if your vision board has no actual feeling, emotion attached to it, your brain chemistry won't pick it up
Exactly.
anyway.
Oh, come
And
on
so
now.
your body won't follow.
Yep.
And so even if you're saying affirmations, that's cute. Let's be real. Saying affirmations is cute, but if you don't believe what you're saying,
Yes.
if you don't have any feeling or emotional attachment to what you're doing or saying, then you won't see that come to pass. And it's not that affirmations don't work. It's not that your manifestations don't work. It's not that what you're saying out of your mouth isn't being heard by God. It's just that you're not in alignment or in tune with what you desire. And so what Danny is saying is very effective. I hope y'all pick up on this. Like, I hope y'all take from this. What he was saying was very effective in how to affirm yourself truly and become that affirmation.
Yep. And I would say too, another thing that will be important as well is not only like the information I like incantations, but I would also like have a why. Now we hear the why all the time. Why do we do this? Why do you want to do this? And a lot of times what I've seen people do is we we want the why to be sexy. Right? We want it to be when someone else reads it, it sounds so profound.
Oh,
Right,
so we
right.
want it to be vague.
Yeah, exactly. Or we want to be. It sounds so eloquent, but at the end of the day, like if I let's say I had a goal, I wanted to like lose weight, right? You know, I want to lose weight because I want to be healthy, to be here for my family. But the reality is, the reason why you want to lose weight because I want to look sexy in the summer. Say that because that's going to get a person more motivated to want to go and work out than it would be just to try to have, oh, I want to, because it sounds good. And who wouldn't want to be healthy to live longer for their kids? When the reality is that they're vain and they want to basically have on a bikini or you know what I mean, not have on a two piece. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's real. And that's real. What you're saying too is that most people are not being honest with themselves.
Yes.
Like whatever it is, like who's going to judge you for being honest with you?
Exactly. So
Like,
true. And I think that at the end of the day, like I think about this. Like I'm getting older. I want obviously everyone can do the math. 'Cause I told you how old I was back in 2011. But I just really realized I'm saying grays, guys. It's coming. I've seen a few of them, and that it gets real because I don't think I've seen many of those, but they're coming in, and I realized that caring about what other people think, like at the end of the day, when we're in our graves and in our graves, like who's actually going to show up? The people that we were so afraid of or how they would perceive us probably won't be there. It's going to be the people who cared about us the most. So, what I would say to you guys is, whatever you do, don't worry about what other people think. The reason why you want to do something is a reason that you may not think other people may accept. So what? Do it anyway, because at the end of the day, you're going to get the results and you're going to get the fulfillment that you desire from your life.
all right, y'all. So on that note, we're going to take one quick break and then we're going to come back and talk to Danny about his journey, which was his next word along the way to stalking his destiny. Put things in their proper place. And when you put things in their proper place, then you're able to see how much more time you have to focus on other things. And if your professional life, if your business life, if you're trying to make a life for yourself, if those things are not in order, then stop rushing to the comfort of a dependent person. Stop rushing to lean on someone else if you are not taking care of your own situation, your own life. And that's a really, really big distraction because we all want and need the social connection in terms of another person, in terms of love and endearment, those types of things, companionship. We need those things, but put them in proper place. And there's a saying, I think I've said it before, do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. Welcome back, y'all. This is the Tea Time with Tarah Show. I am Tarah M. Williams, and I'm joined here with our guest today, Danny Jr., who's been telling us about what he needs to take along his journey to stalk his destiny. And so if you all have taken a chance to look at the comments below or the description below, let us know what word you need along the way for your journey as well. Now, Danny has gone over several words, but right now, we just want to hear more about his journey.
Yes.
Tell us about your journey.
Let's see, man. The journey has definitely been long. A lot of lessons along the way. I think from what we were talking about, I think I left off just really talking about now I'm in this phase of life where I'm really focused on doing things that that have meaning associated with them. And what's crazy about that is that let me back up. So I've had that experience in 2011, right? Going out there and, and pushing, and then I had to, get a job.
Yeah.
And I've been, working obviously for a company since that time. Now where there's this thought about going back out like I did back in 2011, again, the journey is interesting because now I have more responsibility at home, right? So the family has increased since that time in 2011. And so I think this time there's a sense of, I don't want to say, I'm not going to use definitely the word of fear, but I think there's this curiosity as if what occurred back in 2011 will reoccur again in this new phase. And I think now I'm more equipped, however, to really have a better outcome. So I'm definitely excited about that.
So you're better equipped to navigate it this time?
Yes, absolutely. Full force, absolutely. I think the journey and those lessons that you learn along the way really give you that sense of confidence. Just like I talked about the incantations. Back then, I really didn't have that, right? I didn't really have that. I probably learned about it a little bit through that process, but I probably saw it was like corny, like who does that? But
Yeah.
then I remember that, and I got this by the way from gonna give him his credit, Tony Robbins. So that's
Okay.
what he does. Anytime he has these big events, he does go through this incantation that he goes through to get himself in a peak state. So then when he's in front of an audience of 10,000 or more, he can always deliver for them. So I use that same technique in the things that I do.
Okay. And so you told us about basically the knowledge that you've learned along the way and applying what you've learned.
man,
so
so
that
much
takes care of knowledge and
Yes.
learning
Yes. Oh, my
along the
goodness.
way to stalking your destiny.
Oh,
So
man.
tell me about your routine, because you kind of started getting into it. You start off with getting
Yeah.
into a peak state.
Yep.
And so tell us more about that, because it's kind of oozing out of you.
Yeah.
Like, what's the routine, now that may help somebody else,
Yeah, so I would say, I'm not gonna say, then I drive to work and then I drive home. So I was talking
No.
about
But no.
I sleep at 9
The
o'clock.
routine in terms of what you need in place to be successful, like say if you're going to do this again,
Yeah.
and that's what you're planning for, then
Yeah.
what does that look like?
Oh, absolutely. So
What
great.
does your life look like in terms of that routine?
This awesome. I'm gonna switch this in this way because I think this is important. So audience. So right now I am currently still working at a job, and on the side I have your what people call side hustle, right? So the question then becomes like, what routine can you put in place that allows you to eventually make a transition from working full time to being a full time entrepreneur? So one of the things that I have done a routine is you have to wake up early in the morning. I know it sucks. So what I try to do is go to sleep at 9, wake up at 4. Now, do I wake up at 4 all the time? No, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 5:30. But the importance of waking up in the morning is that I make sure that the activity that I do first before I do anything else is related to my side hustle. Because what happens, what I learned, reason why I probably have not been full-time entrepreneur earlier is because I would wake up in the morning late. I realized that, oh crap, I'm almost late for when work's supposed to start. And then I try to do the business or the side hustle at the end of the day when I'm most depleted, when I've already went through this rigorous process with my job. And so now I have to do the thing that I'm most passionate about on the back end of the day. I'm at home, my family needs me. So then at that time, I'm not in a peak state to really give any really intentional work to my side hustle. So instead, I put that on the front end of my day. So then if nothing else, I know that I did those 1 or 2 hours in the very important task on my side hustle. So then I can make the progress. So I would say to any of you guys, if you're in a similar situation, whatever your business is, do all that activity first before you get started with your day at your job or other activities in the household so that you can get that out of the way. Very important.
And I would say, and I not to go against what you're saying, but kind of to add perspective to it for those out there, I always let my clients know that your morning is when you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So some people's morning is night because they're night owls. So
Yes.
they're most
Good point.
productive overnight,
Yep.
which to early morning birds, we're like, I'm going to bed.
Right. That's a
But
good
for
point.
some people, your morning is your peak time of day. So,
That's a
so
good point.
understand that everything he said can be applied to you as well. Whether
Yep.
you're a I get up at 12 o'clock, I gotta sleep till 12. Okay, fine, get up at 12, and then get into it. Or if you're a night person, and whatever that is, if you're a person that stays up overnight, I learned about myself that it depends on what season of life I'm in.
Yeah.
And due to that season of life, I might be waking up early and going to sleep late because I'm bored midday.
Yep.
But then I maximize, and I always tell people too, just like he said about your routine, if you're going to do 1 or 2 hours to your side hustle daily, then time block that.
Yes.
And if you time block it and you're not able to do it in that time, then guess what? You dedicated to 1 or 2 hours that day. So find another time that day. Don't give up on it. You have 24 hours in a day. Don't give up on, I missed that time block that I can't move the block that day. You can do that. You can absolutely maximize on the time that you have if you put things into perspective. I want to work a 4-hour workday. So when y'all see me out here doing whatever I want to do, guess what? I put my 4 hours in. Not only that, I'm a workaholic. So you might see me put my 4 hours in and then see me out in the streets and think that I'm not working. I'm always working. I'm a workaholic. My mind is always working on strategies, plans. My phone's always working on follow-ups, emails, things like that. But that is because I'm at my peak when I feel most free. So find your peak
Yes.
and maximize your peak, because even Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Eric Thomas and Danny Jr. and Tara Williams, listen, we can help you, but you got to know what works best for you and when it works best for you.
And listen, we finna turn this show into a productivity course. Listen, and I'm gonna tell you something else critical. Turn off them phones. When you're in your workspace, put your phone in the opposite room. Put it in the third floor. Put it in your car so that when you get so that you don't have to grab it. Our phones are such a distraction, and it's hard for us to get into that. When people write, they call it that you get into a certain state where you're just in your flow state. Maybe that's what it's called, flow state. So even if you got to turn off the Wi-Fi, if you realize that you're not being productive, the one thing you don't want to do is, as you're doing your work, also looking at CNN.com, looking at certain websites, like period off until you're scrolling through your Facebook feed when you're wanting to do your most meaningful work. So I would tell you guys, because in reality, it could be that you may have stayed in that room for 2 hours, but how much work actually got done based on you continuing to toggle between your Facebook feed, your IG feed, and then the work that you're supposed to do, like your writing, for example. So that's another productivity tip
Yeah,
that
so
I want to give
focus
you.
on what you're focused on.
Correct.
Yeah, don't be like me. I
Stop
am
it.
ADD. Seriously, I'm ADD diagnosed, and literally
Mm.
even today I was making phone calls, sending emails on my phone, typing on my computer, and watching Grey's Anatomy because I'm ADD. But I maximize my productivity by utilizing all of those tools. Now, if those tools just distract you, which sometimes my phone can be distraction because I'll just wave her off, like you said,
Hmm.
into social media. And I'll be like, why am I even here? Then you waste your own time.
Girl, we finna
You
hire
know,
Tia another.
so
We finna hire Tara another VA, virtual assistant.
I
Listen,
don't need a virtual
you know,
assistant, no, because I don't have time to tell somebody
Right,
how
do
not,
that.
how not to do my job. You can't do me like I
I
can
do
do me.
me.
Okay, and when
Hey.
I call people, they want to hear me.
It's true.
Nobody's gonna represent your brand the way that you represent your brand. And when I get a virtual assistant, they have to be just
Like
like,
me.
yes,
Oh yeah. Oh
trained
yeah.
to do the job. But however, that's easy work. Some
Mm-hmm.
people say it's busy work. No, I spent 30 minutes doing that. This
Mm-hmm.
morning. And that was my intention. My intention was to send contracts, send proposals, make the phone calls to see where to send this stuff, make sure these people know I'm sending it. I make my presence known without these people ever meeting me, is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're building, y'all, too, please understand this. Whether you work a job, whether you are trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to find your way, whatever it is, when it comes to stalking your destiny, give yourself the space to build it, because that's not where I was going with it. But again, I have ADD, so it just completely left my mind. Okay, but when you're doing those things, give yourself time to build the things that you're working on, and also maximize on what you can do, because people want you and they want you at your best. And so if you're not maximizing on what you do best, then how do we know who you even are? Why would we care? Because you're not even working on you, working towards anything better. That's important. That's not where I was going with it, but it matters. Okay, build your identity, build the gifts that God gave you. Because if you don't utilize the things that you're good at, you will lose it. And yes, it sounds wonderful because AI can do almost anything and run the whole company for you. But then AI can take over your company too, because AI is smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't lose out on the things that God gave you. What you don't use, you lose.
Ooh, I'm about to say something. But I was going. People would have turned off the Schmitty show. I was about to say, listen, guys.
Drop the mic. Go ahead.
Listen, we only have a limited time on this planet. That's the truth. I think human beings are the only one of the species, I believe, only species who have the ability to know roundabout when their end time is. We know, right? We know average, most people live within their, I think the average now is in this lifespan is like in the 70s now. So listen, and even assuming that, we don't know when our lives would end. It can end at any moment. So while you have life, like give it a shot. Like don't get discouraged. Like build what you know you're supposed to, because at the end of the day, when you're in your bed and your family and friends are sitting beside you, you're not going to care the fact that you didn't buy that new Corvette. You're not going to be, upset that, you didn't buy that new house. It's going to be, you're going to look and realize there's some things that you could have done that you didn't do based on some fears that, guess what, probably never manifested themselves. So give it a shot. It's better to try and fail than to not try at all.
I think he did drop the mic, y'all. So I'm gonna ask about one more thing, because this second half just turned into a whole motivational speak tag team. Okay, so you mentioned a word and you didn't want me to really go to it, but let's go to looking within. Let's go to the X-ray. Why is it important to X-ray and look within on your journey to stalking your destiny?
Listen, this, what's funny is I think this is probably one of the most hardest things for us as people to do, because we are often afraid of what we will find out. the reality is that every one of us have some type of trauma that we experienced in the past that whether we know it or not, we're still living out today. It could be, I think I'll say this for me. I'll be, I'll transparent. So, one of the traumas that I've experienced is not being seen. Right. Um, there were five kids. I was the oldest, and I realized that I was a really small, short kid. So when I went to school, like no one paid attention to me, right? Attention to me. I was like the nerd who didn't get good grades, right? So you're a nerd, you didn't get good grades, and no, and then and you weren't in a position to be the most popular kid. So I always had this thing of wanting to be seen, feel like I'm unique.
Mm-hmm.
So by understanding that and realizing that throughout my life that was going to play out, instead of me using that to harm me and using it in a non beneficial way, me understanding that's going to be a part of my nature, I now try to use that traumatic experience to be more impactful. So the reason why I want to get on the show, the reason why I, want to be on video is because now I get to know that I want to be seen, but in a way that impacts other people. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking my trauma that I experienced, knowing that I didn't get that growing up, and now putting it in a way or using it in a way that benefits others. So now it's being more beneficial than a traumatic experience for me.
So taking the pain and turning it into purpose, and
Yes.
taking the trial and
Hey.
turning it into triumph,
Hey. Yep.
and helping
Absolutely.
others along the way. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like thank you for that because
Yeah.
when he requested to be on the show, you all, and so now you all know it's a deeper purpose too behind that is to say like I have this is tea time with Tarah. You have a voice and it needs to be heard. And that's exactly what you took the opportunity to do. This is
Mm-hmm.
the space for it.
Absolutely.
And there are other platforms,
Yeah.
as well to be heard on. But I'm glad that you took the opportunity to do that. And even with looking within you all, there are layers. Like he mentioned the trauma. Um, there are layers that to your identity that you have to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Like at first when you look in the mirror, you look at just you, the vanity of it all, and then you look at the lies you tell yourself about yourself
Mm-hmm.
to even get to the heart of the matter, to
Yep.
even get to the this is how I really feel, this is how I really want to feel,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's very important. But I'm glad that you were able to take that and share it. Because I think it's many people out here wearing their trauma
Yeah.
and then putting makeup or moisturizer or whatever men put on
Yeah.
their faces
Right.
over it. They're covering it up so that even they don't notice themselves.
Absolutely. And I would say too, like at the end of the day, you have to really be able to really understand that because other people are seeing. We have a perception about how we want other people to see us, but if we don't look within, how they see us is going to be different.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to look within, to have that what we call self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
to understand who we are and realize where our strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah.
There are some of us who may be doing something that the truth is that's not really in our gift, that's not really in our skill set, but
Mm-hmm.
we seen somebody on TV, we seen somebody on Facebook do it and it sounded great. They got all of this acknowledgement, they got all the high five, they're making a lot of money, they're very popular, and now we want to do it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if we look within, if we X-ray ourselves, look within, we'll discover that that's not really who we are and what we're supposed to be. And guess what? It's perfectly fine. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Authenticity is everything, y'all. Being your authentic self frees
Mm,
you. It frees others, to be themselves around you as well. And it actually opens the door for more opportunities because then you're not pretending and you can authentically go into these different spaces and even maximize there. It's not about being a taker, but it is about being free to be the human being that God created you to be, no matter where you go.
mm.
All right. So, y'all, that's today's episode of the Tea Time with Tarah Show. If you haven't already, get your book, The ABCs to Stalk Your Destiny, on Amazon.com or stalkyourdestiny.com. Stalk, STALK. I am Tara Williams. Danny, did you have any final words that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I would tell every single one of you who is watching this show that at the end of the day, when you look back at your life, you will always going to have regrets. I mean, the truth is that that's going to be a part of your life. But right now, at this moment that you're watching this video and you're looking at my face right now, make a decision to get started with doing something that creates meaning in your life. That when you do this, you realize that not only are you going to get fulfillment, but you're going to impact other people in a way that the world will never be the same because you made the decision today. So make that decision, take action, and I guarantee that you'll be super excited that you did.
And did you have any contact information you wanted to
Yeah, if you
disclose
want
or
to get a hold of
anything?
me, obviously I'm on Facebook, Instagram, at Danny Upmo on IG. You can look me up in Danny Jr. on Facebook, or you can go to my website, DannyJr. spelled out.com.
All right, y'all. This is Tea Time with Tara. Remember, you have a voice and it needs to be heard. And with Stalk Your Destiny, understand this, that everything you want to become, you already are. Until next time.